In a world where speed and convenience dictate the rhythm of existence, where life unfolds through glowing screens and instant deliveries, there are those who move in the shadows, invisible yet essential. They're the silent gears of an economy that never sleeps, whose hands and feet fuel the insatiable consumption of a society addicted to more. For many, life has become an endless pursuit of shortcuts and instant gratification, and in this whirlwind, the humanity behind the service often vanishes, reduced to just a dot on a digital map, a number in an impersonal algorithm. But behind every delivery, every hot meal that reaches a doorstep, there is a story, a sacrifice, a dream that refuses to die. Imagine a bicycle, not a gleaming leisure machine, but an extension of the body, a vehicle of survival. Its tires, worn from Miami's scorching asphalt, spin at a steady, almost hypnotic rhythm under Florida's merciless sun. The rear basket, modified to carry thermal boxes, sways slightly with each pedal stroke, a constant reminder of the weight it bears, not just food, but hopes, fears, and the promise of an uncertain future. That bicycle, with its rusty handlebars and frayed seat, is the stage for a daily journey, a microcosm of the fight for dignity in a world that often denies it. It glides through tree-lined streets of opulent neighborhoods, where mansions rise like fortresses of prosperity, and through narrow alleys of humbler communities, where life pulses with a different kind of energy, but the same aspirations. And the air, heavy with humidity and ocean salt, blends with the aromas of diverse cuisines, a sensory reminder of the cultural mix that Javier encounters along the way. And amid it all, the melody of a guitar, imaginary to the outside world, but vivid and real in the mind of the man pedaling, echoes as a hymn of resistance, a promise that, despite everything, art and soul will prevail.
Javier, in his early 30s, carried on his body the weight of hard work and the resilience of one who had faced adversity. His average height and lean build were highlighted by slightly hunched shoulders, a result of countless hours bent over his handlebars. His dark brown hair, always a bit messy, framed a face that, though young, already bore fine lines around the eyes, marks of worry and Florida's relentless sun. His deep brown eyes mirrored his soul. Tired, yes, but still flickering with hope and determination. His hands, rough and strong, told two stories at once, those of a musician with long and nimble fingers, and of a laborer with calloused skin and short nails. He wore simple clothes, usually a faded cotton t-shirt and cargo pants, always topped with his career vest, which had become like a second skin. A cap, worn backward, was his constant companion, shielding him from the sun and perhaps hiding some of the melancholy that occasionally haunted his gaze. Javier was a man of few words but great depth. He was innately kind and observant, absorbing the world around him with a sensitivity few noticed. His resilience was remarkable, an almost endless capacity to get back up after every fall, driven by love for his family and his dream of becoming a musician. Dignity was a pillar of his life. Even in the most humiliating moments, he held his head high, refusing to be defined by his circumstances. Frustration was a constant emotion, a silent burden he carried, especially when faceless algorithms or indifferent customers made him feel invisible. And yet hope, like a soft melody, never completely left him. He dreamed of a future where his music could support his family, where he wouldn't have to ride beneath the blistering sun, where dignity wouldn't be a daily struggle, but a given right. The longing for Venezuela was an open wound, a pain he tried to numb with the frenzied rhythm of deliveries, but which resurfaced during quiet moments in every chord of his guitar. To Javier, music wasn't just a hobby, it was a part of his soul, a way to express life's complexities, its joys and sorrows, its dreams and disillusionments. His guitar, a gift from his father, was his refuge, his confidant, the only place where he felt truly free. He dreamed of playing on big stages, of making his family proud, of using his art to tell the story of many like him, those who fought for a place in the sun. Beyond music, he dreamed of stability for his family, of quality education for his children, and of someday returning to his homeland, not as a fugitive, but as someone who had triumphed, who had built a better future. Each morning, Javier rose before the sun. The silence of dawn in their small Hialeah apartment was a rare luxury. The strong and comforting smell of Venezuelan coffee filled the air, a daily ritual connecting him to his roots. Elena, his wife, was already up, preparing a simple breakfast for their children, Sofia and Miguel, who still slept soundly, unaware of the worries weighing on their parents. Elena, in her 20s, radiated a soft, resilient beauty, marked by the quiet strength life had taught her. Her long, wavy, dark hair was usually tied into a practical bun, though rebellious strands always escaped, framing her oval face. Her large, expressive, light brown eyes could convey both the tenderness of a mother and the concern of a wife. Even in hard times, there was a gentleness to her smile, a reflection of her unshakable faith. Her slender yet agile frame revealed the energy of a woman who cared for a home and 2 small children. Elena was Javier's safe harbor, the anchor that kept him grounded during storms. Her patience was infinite, her understanding deep. She possessed a silent strength, an ability to endure hardship with impressive grace. Optimism was her compass. Even when reality seemed grim, she always found a ray of hope. Sofia, their 5-year-old daughter, was a burst of energy and curiosity. Her dark, curly hair, just like her father's, bounced with every move, and her wide, bright brown eyes observed the world with captivating innocence. Her toothless smile could light up any room. Though small for her age, her liveliness made up for her stature, always running, jumping, never still. She was the joy of the household, the personification of hope. Miguel, just 2 years old, was a chubby, cheerful baby. His light brown hair and round, curious eyes were often paired with rosy cheeks and a gummy smile that melted hearts. His steps were still unsteady, but he ventured around the house with an adorable determination. He was sweetness incarnate, always seeking comfort and safety in his parents' arms. His greatest joy was being close to Sofia, who entertained him with her wild imagination and constant games. Javier would glance at Elena with gratitude and love overflowing from his eyes. She was the silent force, the rock that kept him standing. He knew that every pedal stroke, every delivery, was for them, for a future he stubbornly believed was possible. Javier's days were a constant dance between necessity and frustration. The app, his lifeline, was also his tormentor. The algorithms, impersonal and unfathomable, dictated his rhythm, his routes, and ultimately, his income. Some days were abundant, with a steady flow of orders and a spark of hope lighting up his eyes. But on other days, it all fell silent. Hours passed without a single request. Uncertainty gnawed at his stomach as anxiety replaced hunger. Miami's traffic was a constant enemy. The suffocating heat, the sticky humidity, and the endless noise of cars tested his endurance daily. He pedaled beneath the scorching sun, his heavy backpack pressing on his shoulders, sweat streaming down his face, his throat dry. Impatient horns, distracted drivers, and a lack of proper bike lanes turned each delivery into a challenge, a risk. He witnessed accidents, was nearly hit himself, and saw a city indifferent to the fragility of a man on 2 wheels. But Javier's greatest battle was against invisibility. To many, he was nothing more than a function, a service, a nameless face delivering food. Blank stares, doors shut before he could even say good morning. Tips denied because of app errors. All these chipped away at his dignity, making him feel less than human. He saw wealth and excess in the homes he visited. Wasted food, flashy luxury, and an extravagance that clashed painfully with his own reality. He who labored tirelessly to support his family was seen as just another cog in the system, a number on a spreadsheet, a disposable link in the chain of consumption. One afternoon, while waiting for an order in a parking lot, Javier saw a group of young people laughing and taking selfies with their high-end phones. One of them, noticing Javier, made a mocking comment about delivery guys and their easy lives. Anger rose in Javier's throat, but he swallowed it. Dignity kept him from reacting. He knew arguing was useless. Those words came from a place of ignorance and privilege. He lowered his head, gripped his handlebars tightly, and waited for the next order to take him far away from that place. Another day, a delivery took him to a luxury neighborhood, where a grand mansion stood behind wrought iron gates. The client, a refined but cold woman, opened the door with clear impatience. She grabbed the bag without making eye contact, and instead of saying thank you, complained that the drink was almost warm. Javier tried to explain that traffic had delayed him, but she cut him off with a dismissive gesture and slammed the door in his face. The humiliation stung, but what hurt most was the lack of recognition, the absence of even basic humanity. He felt the crushing weight of invisibility, like he was just an object, a tool, with no voice, no feelings. These moments were frequent, small cuts that accumulated, leaving invisible scars on his soul. He wondered if it was worth it, if all the effort, all the humiliation would ever lead anywhere. Doubt began to shadow his dreams. He saw other delivery workers giving up, seeking other jobs, or simply surrendering to apathy. Javier, too, felt the exhaustion, but the image of Elena and the children, those smiling faces, those little arms that hugged him so tightly, kept him from giving in. He knew he couldn't quit. The fight wasn't just his, it was for them, for a future where dignity wouldn't be a luxury, but a right. Despite all the hardship, Javier's music was never completely silenced. In rare moments of rest, when exhaustion allowed, he would pick up his guitar. The strings, once a place of refuge, became a battlefield where he wrestled with despair. He composed melodies that told of his journey, his longing, his struggles, and his unwavering faith. Elena, always sitting close, was his first and most loyal audience, her eyes reflecting the strength and support he so desperately needed. She encouraged him never to abandon his dream, reminding him of the beauty of his art and the passion that burned within him. One day, while waiting for an order at a small park, Javier saw a group of street musicians playing. The vibrant melody drew him in, full of life and rhythm. He approached and, hesitantly, asked if he could play a song. The musicians, surprised but curious, handed over a guitar. With his eyes closed, Javier let the music flow. It was a song about Venezuela, about migration, about hope. The melody was tinged with melancholy, but the passion in his voice and his fingers was undeniable. A small crowd began to gather, drawn by the intensity of his performance. At the end of the song, a respectful silence filled the air, followed by warm applause. A woman, tears in her eyes, approached and embraced him, saying his music had touched her soul. That moment of genuine connection was a balm to his spirit, a reminder of the power of his art. Inspired by the encounter, Javier started playing more often, between deliveries, in parks, in public squares. He never asked for money, he simply shared his music. And to his surprise,
people began to stop and listen. They connected. Some recognized him from deliveries, and the wall of invisibility began to crack. He was no longer just a delivery guy. He was a musician, a storyteller. Tips began to increase, not just for the service, but for the art. Javier started saving a little of the extra money, dreaming of buying recording equipment, of capturing his songs, of taking one step closer to his dream. One day, while playing at a farmer's market, a man approached him. He was a local music producer, captivated by Javier's music. He invited him to record some tracks at his studio. Javier, skeptical but hopeful, accepted. The recording sessions were life-changing. He felt the magic of his music being brought to life, the emotion of his lyrics captured in full color. The producer, impressed by his talent and story, offered him a contract to record a small EP. It was a beginning, a small but meaningful step toward his dream. The news of the recordings brought renewed energy into Javier's home. Elena embraced him, tears streaming down her face, full of pride and emotion. Sofia and Miguel, though still young, felt the joy and hope that filled the air. Javier continued delivering food, but now with a renewed purpose. Each pedal stroke was a step toward the future. Each delivery a chance to share his music, to reach new hearts. He knew the road would still be long, the difficulties wouldn't vanish overnight. But the melody of resilience, once just a whisper, now echoed loudly in his chest, strong and clear, a promise that with faith and perseverance, dreams truly could come true. The story of Javier, the courier of dreams and food, is more than just the journey of a man chasing a better future. It is a mirror reflecting the complexities of a world in constant transformation, where technology, which promises connection, often leads to isolation, and where convenience, which eases life for some, brings precarity to others. It is an ode to human resilience, to the innate ability to find light even in the darkest corners, to turn pain into art and struggle into melody. With his bicycle and his guitar, Javier became a symbol. He represents the millions of invisible workers who drive the global economy, whose stories are rarely told, whose sacrifices are rarely acknowledged. His journey reminds us that behind every service, behind every product, there is a human being, with dreams, with fears, with an inalienable dignity. The instability of gig work is a challenge the modern world must confront, seeking a balance between efficiency and fairness, between profit and humanity. But above all, Javier's story is a song of hope. It teaches us that true wealth is not found in material possessions, but in the ability to dream, to persevere, to love, and to find purpose even in the hardest of circumstances. His music, once just a whisper in a tiny apartment, now begins to echo, touching hearts and minds, reminding us that art has the power to transcend borders, to bring people together, and to give voice to those who have been silenced. May Javier's story inspire us to look beyond the surface, to recognize the humanity in every encounter, to value the labor behind every task, and to fight for a world where dignity is not a privilege, but a universal right. May his melody resonate within us, inviting reflection on our role in this great symphony of life, and urging us to seek harmony between consumption and compassion, between progress and humanity. Because in the end, we are all dream couriers in our own way, each of us searching for a place in the sun, a melody to call our own, and a future where hope never fades.